Hey everybody, good morning, good morning. It is the 16th of May, 2024. It's about 9 o'clock in the morning here. I'm going to do a real quick update. Of course, everybody is looking at GameStop. I'm just going to take a look at it really quickly here, going into, maybe the next day and a half, next week, potentially what could be kind of transpiring here since we broke out of a significant downtrend. I'm also going to do a real quick update on Bitcoin at the end of this video. As you all know, this is not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. You're responsible for your own trades, managing your own risk, doing your own research, and this is just my opinion on the market. So I'm going to go ahead and move on into the chart. What I want to actually do right here off the get-go, I want to take a look at our indicator on the daily, and I just want to point out, I've been focusing more and more on the daily time frame on the WaveMaster indicator. If you would like to have access to the WaveMaster indicator, of course, you can find all that information on BitDoctor.org. But what I want to point out is just a couple things here. First off is the fact that we had a buy signal here, which just happened to coincide with, this major bottom here. And of course, you can probably also tell that there was a buy signal here as well. And then, of course, what that resulted in, short term was 134%, and that was just over a couple days. And of course, obviously, if you were to have held that, you could have pulled in, a significant return going from, our post-split price of 68 cents all the way up to $106. And that's obviously a huge return that could have been had. But what I want to focus on here is not just that one buy signal there, but there was one here, and there was one here, there was one here, and there was one here. And of course, we've got a significant one there, and then we've got one here, and then we just recently had one. And let's just go ahead and align those for where they would have landed, excuse me, on this downtrend. So there's right here, and I've got a point to the end of this, so I promise I'll get to that. But I'm just sort of outlining these to show where indicators can come in handy and where our WaveMaster indicator can really thrive. So just pointing all of these out to say that after those signals occurred, of course, you wouldn't be expecting another 15,000% return, right? I would hope not. But from this point here all the way to the high there, that's a 60% return. From down here to this high was a 43%. From right here to that high was 134%. This one, I would say this one's a failure because it went up, but then it fell. So I would say that's a failure. But from down here, even to right there is 60%. Take it to here, that's 70%. If you were to have gotten the top, which I'm not going to say that, you're going to catch the top every time, but that still had a 71% return. From down here, where that signal hit, we had another 48%. And of course, where we're at right now, we had that signal kick off, and of course we know that it went as high as about $80 in pre-market, which was 650%, but even from where it's at right now, that's 230%. So lots of stuff to sort of digest, but even after this parabolic phase, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 opportunities to buy, 6 of which I'm willing to say were successful. 1 failed. And of course, the one that failed is going to be, let me see if I can just mark that. This would be the one that failed. But all of the rest, did produce decent results. And you didn't really have to wait a significant amount of time to get there. But we had obviously this downtrend, which I've got as this white line here. Once we started to break out of that, obviously we had a huge move to the upside after we broke out of that trend, and of course going up to that $80 mark that it hit, that was about a 360% move to the upside. But now that we're here, where are we going? So there's just a couple things here that I want to point out. I'm going to zoom in now that we've gotten all of that behind us. And I'm going to turn on the extended hours trading here in just a moment, just to dive in what happens, after hours and in pre-market, just looking at that price action because it's still important. And yeah, just had a friend ask me on the Discord. I do not drink soda. I do not actually consume any caffeine anymore. So I don't know if you're watching live right now, but I don't do caffeine. I drink a lot of water and I drink a lot of lemonade. But yeah, side note. Okay, so now that we've broken out of this downtrend, obviously we haven't seen like a total pump and dump here, and I'm really not expecting the price action to retreat all the way back to all the way back down here to the $16 level. I'm not really expecting that at this time. I'm going to go down to a 1 hour time frame so we can look at this price action, but I do want to open up the extended trading hours and just look at all of the price action. I'm going to get rid of this just for the sake of clarity, and this one as well. So what I'm looking at here on a 1 hour time frame, what I'm looking at here is the fact that it does look like we have a nice valid correction, right? So, and again, I'm looking at this using the pre-market. So this is pre-market after hours. So this is going to be obviously a little volatile by nature because it's it's using low volume time periods to do this. But if we take a look at the hourly time frame here, right, we were talking about the buy signals. There's one here, and we're in the middle of one literally right now. So we do have a buy signal on the hourly right now. Now, does that mean that we're going to get another one of these where we're going to see another 648%? No, I'm not really expecting that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom out just a little bit more. So this was the bottom here, right? So the bottom to the top right there. So we went to the 382, we almost went to the 50, but I've got a couple targets here that I've already laid out, and I can go back into the history and show you where that all came from. But my upside targets, we have to look at what our levels currently are, and I'm going to talk about the levels here in just a moment. But, I'm looking at $85, $86, somewhere in that range. If we can get through that, the next level is going to be about $100 to $103. And the next level after that is going to be about 120. And that negative 236 extension target is sitting right up there at $130. However, if we pull this up just a little bit more, we take it to this low right here. Let's say we had a little 1, 2. We're working on that 3. We put in the 4. This level up here at 120 to 128 seems like it's where it wants to go. And this is where shares are really king here. Options are great, although implied volatility on the GameStop options are absolutely insane. They're 5, 6, 700% implied volatility, and that just simply means that you are paying an arm and a leg for premiums. And the last 2 days, unless you're getting a spread, the last 2 days have seen these things completely decay. Because you've got a lot of people that bought calls here, and I saw a lot of people making a lot of money, and I think that's really, really great. But for every one person that makes a fortune, there's probably 10,000, 20,000 people that don't know what they're doing and that they're losing because they see one person that already made a lot of money, and so they now believe that they can do that too. And you can, but you need to know how the market works. You need to know how the market moves. And you've already had an insanely parabolic move. Chances are that, even though it may continue in that upward trajectory, the chances are pretty slim it's going to continue moving at that same velocity. So things obviously have slowed down the last 2 days. We've seen 2 pullbacks, and it's really been in pre-market. Now, we haven't seen the pre-market pullback here. So if I go and I just kind of drill in just a little bit more here, looking at this, so this is pre-market. We had a pump and we moved down in intraday. And then here we had a little bit of a move up, and then we moved down in pre-market. But yesterday, intraday, we were just slowly moving sideways after we saw, a nice three-wave correction. Now, this doesn't look like a 1-2-1, which would mean that we'd be going in for wave 2. This really does look like an ABC correction, which means after 3 waves down, chances are pretty good we're going to see, a move to the upside. Now, is that going to happen today? I would say probably not. And that's unfortunate for those that are probably holding 517 expirations. Now, of course, anything can happen today and tomorrow. We could see GameStop go back up to, $57. But again, look at the levels, because the levels are the key. If you're playing options in any way, shape, or form, levels are so important to trading. I'm going to remove my fib pull here just to clean things up. I want to focus on this level here. I want to focus on this level here. And I want to go all the way up here to this level right there. So we've got $33.22. I've got basically $40. And I've got $55.50, roughly. Now, why are these levels important? Well, I want to point out why these levels are important. So let me go ahead and get my brush tool here. So for this level right here, I'm not focusing on this right here, but what I am focusing on is right here. We've got, basically some resistance and support right here in this area. We've got the same thing right here. This happened all day yesterday and even in pre-market. Pre-market can be important if you've got a stock that's got decent volume, and with GameStop being as popular as it is here recently, it's getting a decent amount of volume in both after hours and in pre-market activity. So these levels also kind of roll into that pre-market and after hours activity. Now, the level above that, right, we've got this gap up right here that was between after hours and pre-market. We've got this gap up here, which is going to create a little bit of support. And it did create that support right there. But now that we broke down below it, we broke down right here, right? So that was a breakdown. We have this level here, which is resistance. So what I'm going to say is, if GameStop can get through $40, it is going to open the door for 55, because 55 is that next level. We've got support here. It broke through, and then it went to the next level of support, which is something that I talk about frequently. If a one level breaks, it's going to go to the next level, right? So a lot of times you'll see me say things on the Discord like calls above X, puts below Y, right? And so in this case, I'm saying, calls above 40. I'm saying, back here, if it breaks down below 55, it's going to be puts below 55. And that next level would have targeted this right here, and that's exactly what happened. And it found decent support there. And then it went right back up, which is why I'm saying you need to understand how options work. You need to understand how the market moves. If you know that this breaks down here and the next level is right here and it gets there and you don't take profit, you are gambling. And what ended up happening? Well, the price went right back up. Now, of course, the next day it went down. But what you likely would have seen yourself do is you would have seen yourself go from, let's say $1,000 position, and you would have had, $2,500, $3,000 right there, going from $55 down to $40. That's a big drop, right? So you would have probably seen a couple 100% gain. But if you didn't capitalize on that, what you're going to end up seeing is going into the end of the day, it went right back up to about $49.30. What most options traders do is they see the profits, but they don't know when to take the profits. And it depends on what your investing strategy is. Like, I play crypto way different than I play options. And I think anybody that's a member on the Discord knows that I play crypto way different than I play options. You need to have a plan. And the plan in this particular case would be, if $55 breaks, you're going to be taking profit at $40. Now, maybe that doesn't mean that you close the entire position, because the next level below that would have been, this level right here, right? And maybe at the time, maybe it wasn't that level. Maybe it was a little bit lower. Maybe it was right around here. Because again, you had resistance, it broke through, found support. So that level is pretty important. And what ended up happening the next day? So let's say that you did take profit here. Let's say you closed half of your position and it went back against you. Well, you closed half of your position, probably at several 100%. So you probably covered your cost basis, and you're probably like, okay, well, I'm just going to let the rest run. It started to go against you, but you know what? That's a free position at that point, and you still have money in your pocket. What ended up happening the next day? It went all the way back down here to the next level. So what do? You've got 50% of that position left. Close 25% of that position, because now you have even more profit. You've got 25% of the position, and at that point, what I would then say to myself is, well, this level found some support, and now we've got resistance here. So you've got two options, right? That first level now is at resistance. After hitting that support level that you wanted to take more profit, and hopefully you did, so you've got 25% of your position left. It went back and it found resistance. So now you've got two options. The first option is, if it breaks and closes above that level, you can close out your put. Maybe you can get calls. That's completely up to you. I tend to have a bias and stick with that bias the whole time. What I would do is I would say, okay, well, if it breaks down below this, I'm going to keep that 25% open, and I'm going to roll lower on a new position. Smaller, not as big as I did when I was up here, right? Break that 55, take profit at 40, then, next level, take profit at 32, but I'm going to roll this position. Now, right here is another important level, and that's all defined by all of this intraday activity here at $28. So if it breaks down below that, roll down, and that target's going to be, just by the way, right down here at $20, right? So this is just a rolling strategy, and as it breaks down, you've got right here, you're going to close out the rest of that first position, but now you've got a rolled position that is going to be capitalizing on the way down as well. And you're going to take some profit. When you close out that initial position, you're going to take at least 25% of that next rolled position out at $28. Next level is probably going to be right around here, because you can see we have a massive candle right there. So that level right there at $24 is important. And I'm outlining all of this for you, not just for an options trading strategy, but this is all for you to know and understand what the market might be doing next. Because what the market might be doing next is either finding support here and breaking out above that $40. And if that $40 breaks, it's more than likely going to go back up to 55. But if this level here at 32 breaks, more than likely, first stop is right here at 28. We'll see what happens. Next stop down here at 25. This level right here, I think, is actually more important than any other level that's on this chart. And that is because of the size of the candle, although it was pre-market, the size of the candle that happened when it did break through. Because it broke through that level, and then it broke through this level, which was important for whatever reason, and then it broke through this level, and of course, then we found that support, and then it started to continue up. So all of these things are really important to understand and to point out. So what I'm going to say one more time here is on the hourly time frame, if you include extended trading hours, we do have a buy signal on the hourly, but it's not just the indicator. You've got to take a look at that price action depending on how you want to trade. Shares are fine. Options are volatile, and they are so inflated right now. I'm just saying you need to be very, very careful with that. So I'm going to take a look at Bitcoin here, and I'm going to go out to, say, a 4-hour time frame. And what I want to focus on, I'm actually going to, let's see here, do I feel good about clearing this chart? Yes, I'm going to go ahead and clear everything on this chart. I'm going to go to a daily time frame, and I want to just take a look at this here, because this doesn't look bad. This really does not look bad. So what I'll say is that this right here is extremely, I don't want to say confusing, but it is hard to resolve. It is hard to resolve what this is, because what I see a lot of people, pointing out is that there's a possibility this is a 1 and a 2, right? Sort of like an expanded flat because it went up above and then it came down. But it's just hard to agree that that's what that is. And is this the 3? It's possible that's the 3, but if that's the 3, I really think that this is a bottom for now. So I'm really cautious to say that that is what the count is. I'm more inclined to say that, this 3 might actually not be in, and this goes out here before we see that wave 5. But that would indicate that we have even more highs to go. And, a lot of people are pretty darn bearish on Bitcoin right now. But if you take a look at the chart, I mean, look at where we're at right now. How far are we away from all-time high? Let's just go ahead and take a look. We're 11% away from all-time high. Now, in crypto terms, that's nothing. We can do 11% in a day. We can do 11% in an hour. That is just the way crypto works. But what I'm trying to do here is trying to come up with a valid count for what we've got here. I see a lot of people saying this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm starting to be of the opinion that this is a 1, 2, but I'm thinking this is the 3, 4, 5, and that's really in a larger 1, 2, and then we've got this 3, 4, and then going up for the wave 5 on a higher degree. Now, if that's the case, what I'm having a hard time with is this right here, 1, 2, and then is this the 3, 4, 5? Trying to resolve this is a puzzle, and Elliott wave theory is honestly one of the last things that I do when I'm analyzing something, when I'm trying to predict where that price action is going to go. I do tend to believe, at least for the time being, that this bottom is possible. It's possible this bottom is in, at least for now. And I say for now because, what goes up will come down. We will see massive, massive long liquidations at some point. But I think that there's a lot of, Sacred Order was just mentioning yesterday, I think there is a lot of stops up here. I'm not sure if we're going to come all the way back to 57,000 anytime soon, because if you look at the chart, this does look like a completed correction. But what I still am struggling with is this. Is this a 1, 2 here? And then we've got another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into this 3, right? So let's just look at this here for a moment. Into that 3, and then we've got this 4 here, and then we go up for that 5, which becomes that 3. And this would indicate that we've got much, much higher to go on crypto, because if that's what this is, well, then we've got this, okay, from down here, another 1, 2, and then we've got this 3, 4, and then we've got this 5, of course, on the lowest degree. Not going to get into any more subdivision there, but from a time perspective, this matches a little bit better, right? And I'm on the Coinbase chart, so that's what I'm using here. This low right here does not violate this low right here. This would be probably like one of my less confident scenarios on the Bitcoin count. It's possible that this is not what the count would actually be, but just taking a look at all of this does look like it's completed, and it almost looks like we put in a 1, 2, and we're starting to work on a 3. This would indicate that we need to break this high. If we get back up above, I would say 73,000, I would say that this count becomes a little more realistic. And what would the upside target be for something like this? Okay, well, let's just measure from the bottom of this 2 to the top of that 3, and let's get that 236 on here. So where's our 236? And it happens to be right where we bottomed at 57,000, 57,100. That upside target for this wave 5 is 95,699. So that would line up almost perfectly with a rejection at $100,000. Almost perfectly. Okay? And actually, I need to bring this down just a little bit because I'm looking for this low right here. But either way, we still have almost a perfect rejection right there at that 236, which again takes us up to roughly $100,000. Getting a rejection at $100,000 makes a whole lot of sense if you ask me. We get that rejection, we pull back. Where do we pull back to? We have to wait to see where we get to before we can determine where we're pulling back to. But then, that upside target, let's just say in a perfect world, let me just clean this chart up real quick here, 5786, 618, Okay, so just cleaning that up because we pulled back to the 236. We're looking for that target at 95. Let's go ahead and measure from the bottom of this wave 2 to the top of where that negative 236 would be. Right, we've got a 236 right here at 66. If we go back to the 382, that's going to be at 52,000. That is a significant pullback. Now, that could go into 2025, and this could extend, much, much longer than what you're probably expecting. This wave 5 here, this might not happen until like the end of 2024, which again would make a whole lot of sense. Then we see a deep correction going into 2025, and then we see an even bigger cycle going into maybe 2026, which would have our top at about 140. And then that's just based on some basic fib targets, just based off of what this price action might look like. And this wave 4 might be shallow because this wave 2 was sharp. It was sharp and it was fast. So this wave 4 is probably going to be shallow and long. It may just, come back here to this high right here, and then we see that move back up. We don't know what's going to happen, but I'm still bullish on crypto, at least for probably the next, 9 to 12 months. And we'll have to come back and reevaluate what happens after that. All right, that's all that I'm going to get into right now. If this video helped you in any way, shape, or form, you know the deal. Like, subscribe, share. If you need access to our indicator, if you need access to our trades, access to our insured area on the Discord, you can find all that information on BitDoctor.org. One last thing that I'll point out here, Bitcoin on the daily, when were the last times that it was indicating, buy signals on the daily? We've got basically 3 in the last year to year and a half, and you can see where those were. And this is where I was getting extremely bullish in crypto, and that has worked out really, really well. And most of it was based off of the Wave Master indicator. Down here as well, I was also talking about getting into more Bitcoin below 30,000, and of course we saw that price go up more than 100% since then, and it is currently over 100% since then. All right, last but not least, wherever you are in the world, I hope you're having a good day, good night, and a great evening. Take care, everyone.